Christmas!
Pod smashers of the internet.
And welcome to another episode of
80-bit Pod Smash, where gaming goes to grab some Christmas cheer. We are your hosts,
Termite and
Penguin.
And we are normally a weekly video game podcast, smashing together the ideas of culture, art, science, politics, and some other topics that we care about.
Normally, like today's not normal. I'm pretty sure
Christmas.
this is a weekly.
Yeah, it is.
This is still the week.
Yeah,
it's not like
it's
a bonus
special episode.
It is a special
It's not a bonus episode.
because the day this airs, it will be Christmas Eve. It's not quite Christmas yet.
What better time to listen to us talk than the
Yeah.
eve where there's only one more sleep till
Right.
Christmas?
So you're like putting
awesome.
up decorations and you're getting ready and you're like, oh man, it's so boring to like clean the house or like prepare dinner and I have no one to talk to and nothing to do. And
because that's how we all spend.
because that's how we Christmas Eve in solitude, preparing for the day itself, where you will be hanging out with people. I don't know, whatever. Pop the earbuds in and start listening to us. You're probably already doing that, so I guess whatever. It's cool. Christmas Eve. Last year we had the fortuitous happenstance where it was Christmas.
Day when our podcast launched.
Dropped. Yep.
Mhm.
But for you guys now, it'll be Christmas Eve. So I hope you're in the Christmas spirit, and I hope this episode spiritifies you a little bit.
Fortifies your Christmas spirit.
Yeah, fortify. What's going on? What's new?
I'm not sick anymore.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, his
My
eye looks much better.
Almost completely
No more
normal.
bug eye freaking me out.
Yeah, so that's pretty awesome. King's Dominion's decked out in Christmas, and that's going to be my favorite thing. But we'll get there later. But it happened, and it was awesome.
You know what I realized we missed?
What did we miss?
We missed telling them what beer we're drinking today.
We are drinking Firestone Walker's Lager.
Just lager, straight up lager.
Is it really called that? I didn't know it was.
Yeah, it's called Firestone Walker Lager.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's very crisp and clean and
Firestone
easy.
Walker is the brewery, and yeah, it's just a lager. It's good. It tastes like I like it though because it tastes like a lager, so it just kind of tastes like a regular beer, like what you would imagine like a Budweiser or something would taste like. But it's got a little bit of like more flavor in there. Specifically, I get notes of honey.
Really?
Like I get like a sweet kind of a little bit of honey in that.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. It's a good way to describe the sweetness that's there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Even if it's not honey.
There is sweetness there. I just don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's honey or not because we don't have the bottle to read. Can.
Bobby, we needed a tink, so I poured it in glasses,
Yep,
but it did come in a can.
Can't tink aluminum.
Can't tink aluminum.
Mm-hmm.
So I made a whoopsie poops today.
You did. You really did. This is a perfect Christmas accident that could potentially happen too.
Right? So my wife and I have been married for coming up on for like 4.5 years now, and
Babies.
upon getting married, one of their wedding gifts were those like nice Pyrex like oven dishes. Like we got a couple of those Pyrex oven dishes that come with the little plastic lids. Well, the short story is, after 4.5 years, I finally decided that I would take advantage of one of the uses that I assumed those Pyrex lids provided and covered a dish that said it was supposed to be covered as I put it into the oven. So instead of using foil, I used the lid.
The plastic lid.
Plastic lid.
In an oven.
Listen, I thought that Pyrex was some kind of like polymer that, was flame retardant or something. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. Why haven't I ever used this before? Silly me. No, there's a reason why I haven't used it before. And that's because the dang thing melted.
Did it catch on fire?
It didn't catch on fire. It started to melt. Fortunately, I guess it was because of where like the most heat was on the edge of the glass pan. So it was really just along the edges that it started to melt.
Mm-hmm.
The actual thing covering the food was fine. So none of it dripped into the actual food. So the food was actually okay.
Oh, nice.
And it was so I didn't ruin dinner, but I did ruin our Pyrex lid. And kind of the oven, I had to like scrape with a knife to get all the like hardened, once it cooled, I had to get the hardened plastic puddle.
And it smells great.
Off. Yeah, no, my house just smells like a burnt tire right now. So, that's just...
I walk in and he's got a real Christmas tree.
I do,
Which I am envious of anyone with real Christmas trees.
You can't smell it.
Because they smell good. And it's the number one thing about a real Christmas tree that I care about is the smell. And I stuck my face into his tree and smelled tire.
It smelled tire. Yeah, it'll smell like that for probably the rest of the evening. Hopefully next time you come over, if you come over, it'll smell like
If
Christmas.
I come over, it's not if, sir, it's when.
If you come over before we get rid of it at the end of December, you don't come over here that often.
That's true.
So
I see what you're saying.
I come over to your
Next time
house
I come
more.
with your tree up.
Yeah.
Then
so
I can smell it.
It'll smell for real. But yeah, no, right now it just kind of smells. It's the smell of failure. It's the smell of shame. My wife was very gracious. She said my punishment was that I had to post about it on social media.
So you did.
I did. And we'll get a new lid. It's not the end of the world, but
yeah,
it's just like, ah! Like I started smelling it at first. I was like, it smells like burnt plastic. But I thought maybe it was just something on the like maybe it was just some weird thing on the bottom of the oven. I went to check anyways, and I was like, oh, the lid looks okay. It's not obviously warping. And then like 10 minutes later, I was like, it smells really bad now. What is going? And then I looked and I was like, no, because I thought I ruined the food. So, but nope, just a puddle of red plastic on the bottom of my oven. So that was
gross.
that was my.
What were you cooking?
Right before we record, not right before, but enough time before that it's like throwing me out in a funk, and I'm like, I'm trying to get out of the funk of failure. I was cooking just like some shells, like pasta, like lasagna shells, basically is what they were. So
any leftovers?
There are. You can't have any though. I need them for lunches this week.
Jerk.
Sorry.
I was hungry and you didn't feed me.
No. Okay.
You
want some shells?
No, I'm kidding. I'm not hungry. I had dinner.
Cool.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about Christmas this year. It's going to be a little different. Last year we did a Christmas episode where we talked about like our experiences with Christmas. This year, we're going to be taking kind of like a Christmas-focused look on like the industry. So really, we're just going to be examining how does the Christmas season impact the community and the industry of the gaming world.
Which means Termite gets to flex some of his numbers muscles.
Yeah, he does. He did some good research on this, so I hope you guys appreciate it. Before we get into that, let's do our first segment, which is...
Doing this podcast is our favorite thing. Doing this podcast is our favorite thing.
Ooh,
we were
all
off.
timed off a bit there.
I was trying to think of how I could add with Christmas or favorite thing at Christmas in there. And when I was trying to think of where I could fit that in, it completely
See, what we should have done is you should have sang it and I should have gone
ching, 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 ching. Some jingle bell noises.
Yeah, exactly.
I could always edit some jingle bell noises in if you'd like.
That would be wonderful. Cool. Favorite things. What's your favorite thing? Favorite things for those who are listening to us for the first time on our Christmas episode. First of all, welcome and Merry Christmas or Happy Holiday, whichever thing you are happening to celebrate today. And I hope you're enjoying your day off. And we're honored that you're spending some of that time listening to us. Favorite things is the first segment of our podcast where we just kind of tell you the thing that we are digging this week so that hopefully you can find your new favorite thing.
Yes.
So what's your favorite thing?
King's Dominion is an amusement park that is just north of Richmond in Virginia, and they are completely decorated in Christmas, and they're calling it Winterfest.
Okay.
And I took my 3-year-old there. My wife and I both went. It was awesome.
You guys have season passes, right?
We do. So it didn't cost us a dime.
That's awesome.
Well, because you pay for it up front. I mean, the season pass costs money, so I can't say it's free, but it didn't cost us anything extra on a whim that night. We also have meal passes that we have paid for, food in advance. So we were able to eat for nothing and enjoy the park for nothing. Although we did buy some stuff that wasn't covered.
Do you have any rides open?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it hit some. 2/3 of the park is open. Some of it's closed. And Christmas lights everywhere. Each area of the park is kind of themed differently. So there was a Candy Cane Lane area. There was a Coca-Cola Polar Bear Christmas Santa Claus area, which even though I don't drink soda, like I love polar bears, Coca-Cola, Santa Claus. That whole marketing is just genius, and I eat it all up. I actually had a Coca-Cola wallpaper border in my room as a child because, like, just some reason I love the red, and I don't know what it is about it, but I love it. So they had the stores, like, had a whole store full of like Coca-Cola Christmas trees with the cans and all of the bottle openers and all the knickknacks. Anyway, it was really cool. Another area was Jack Frost's like deep freeze, so that was kind of cool. And then they had an ice skating rink. They replaced the fountains with ice skating stuff.
Okay.
There was places you could go decorate your own cookies and eat them. You can build crafts. You can build like Christmas tree ornaments with your kids. So we took Sam in there and we built a little Snoopy house. Aww. And it was a lot of fun. So sweet. Super, super Christmas. I didn't ever want to leave, and it's like my Christmas fantasy. Mm. My wife does tell me
Christmas fantasy.
Yes. My wife tells me that Elf, the movie with Will Ferrell, he's just a slightly exaggerated version of me at Christmas. Like, I absolutely love decorations, Christmas trees, everything about all of that I love. What's your favorite thing?
Similarly, I got a Christmas tree.
A real one?
A real one, yeah. So this is the
smells like a burnt tire.
Second year. It doesn't smell like a burnt tire. My house smells like a burnt tire. This is the second year I did it. Last year we skipped it partially because we were celebrating with my family, and so therefore we didn't really want to get a tree that we'd be leaving for like a week, fire hazard or whatever. So this year we're going to actually be here the entire month of December pretty much. So I was like, I'm going to get a tree. So, and then, there was other circumstances last year where we didn't really want to get a tree. So, but I did do it 2 years ago, and that was, both times were great, but it's just, I love real trees because I grew up getting real trees with my dad, but then he betrayed me sometime in I don't remember when it was, but at some point he was like, I'm going to get a fake tree. And he got a fake tree, and I called it the abomination of desolation and never forgave him for betraying me in betraying my childhood. So now I am reliving my childhood by getting a real tree.
So it's your first real tree on your own?
No. It's my second one, but still. It's
so 2 years ago when you got that tree,
magical. Yeah.
It was real.
That was the first time, but this was the first, again, we took a year, we didn't have one last year, so it was it was nice again. So I decorated that. It's awesome. My wife got some decorations from her mom. So she got to kind of put her childhood version of a tree, which is way more organized and nice and pretty looking.
I'm not surprised.
Mine is all of my kid ornaments. So I have penguins and polar bears and squirrels and nutcrackers and little pictures of me inside of ornament photos. So, but it's great. I actually kind of like the way it comes together. It's it looks more full. There's more stuff on there because the first year we did it just had some of my ornaments. So I have a second favorite things though, and that is, we were hanging out with Co-opetition Matt. So shout out to Matt. And it was with me, my wife, and his wife and him. And we were what do we want to do for dinner? And his wife was like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm craving Five Guys.
Oh.
I've had a 2-month long craving for Five Guys and just haven't had an opportunity to go get it. So I finally scratched that itch.
Yeah.
And got a Five Guys burger.
That's a good itch to scratch.
Awesome. I haven't had Five Guys in a long time.
It's so good.
When the first time when there was a Five Guys in Harrisonburg, and me and my friends would go to it when it first came in, but then we were just it's so expensive because we were college kids.
Yeah.
But now I'm I'm a double income, no kids at the moment. I can get a Five Guys burger if I want. It was amazing. It was everything I wanted in a burger.
It is so good.
It was
It is surprisingly good.
Yeah,
I've only had it once
for a fast food burger, quote unquote. It's pretty good.
It's ridiculously good. You can have an entire podcast discussion about how you decorate your Christmas tree and how your spouse does and what that means, what it means about you, and all those things.
A really big thing that I didn't know apparently is colored lights or white lights.
Yeah, that's an argument.
Yeah.
And it's 2018 now, so you better get your pitchforks ready. Because you're going to condemn half your Facebook page.
It's true, yeah. I prefer colored lights, and so does my sister-in-law. Yeah. My wife seems to be she's oh, I wouldn't mind switching it up and doing it white lights at some point. And both me and Brianna, you guys met Brianna. Shout out to Brianna if she's listening. So, both me and Brianna were no, that's awful. We don't want white lights on our Christmas tree. What's wrong with you? Colored lights all the way.
So I like white lights if you're going to do a classy tree.
Okay.
And I love the classy tree. I love the nice, everything matches, it's thematic. There's a color theme present throughout the whole thing. All of the ornaments are pristine and perfect symmetry, spaced equally apart. You get a measuring stick and you measure between all of the balls to make sure that they're exactly evenly spread all around the tree.
Wow, no.
Never. There's something amazing about that. But then if you're going to do colored lights, then you just go into your childhood's toys and you just put everything up there. Yeah. So you have drums, video games, rag dolls, bows, all that stuff. So I love both. So if you're going to do colored lights, don't make it classy. If you're going to do white lights, make it classy.
Okay. I can see that. I would just never really want a classy tree.
I want both, and it's a dream of mine to have more than one Christmas tree, which I've only done once.
Okay. See, classy trees, I imagine, are for places in the public. You put it in the public square, or you put it your work should have a classy tree.
They do. There's 8 of them at my work right now, and it's amazing.
That's great. That's a good place for it. But your home should, in my mind, my
sense,
home tree, actually. I want to reflect
my
personality, my family's personality. I want it to be I want it to be comfortable. And for me, what's comfortable, what's nostalgic, what's fun is busting out the ornaments I've been accumulating for 29 years and hanging them all up on the tree.
Yeah, whether they match or not. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because each one is tied to each one makes me think of Christmas. Each one makes me think of growing up. Yeah, they can be stupid. There's some I have some stupid ornaments.
Yeah.
I have some ugly ornaments. I don't care. I love each and every one of them because it brings back memories.
That's how our tree is.
And my wife will be like, do you even know where you got that? And I was like, no, but I don't care. It still makes me happy.
I'm hanging it up.
I'm hanging it up. Yep.
And for the first time ever, my wife and I have been married 8 years. This year we put up a fake tree. We put up a fake tree every year because it's pretty lit And it saves so much time.
Yeah.
Pull out the tree, stand it all up. It's already lit. Plug it in. It's good to go. You just fluff the branches, and it's amazing. You don't have to worry about keeping water and sugar water to keep it like alive and fresh. And when you're done, you don't have to burn it or throw it in your yard. You just pack it up into a box and put it away. However, this is the first year that we've done this decluttering Marie Kondo system. Having a giant box somewhere in your house taking up that much space for an entire year so that you can pull it out for a month is not ideal. And I would love to get a new tree next year. I mean, a
like a
real tree next year. And get rid of
you can just get rid of it,
the fake tree forever and never have a fake tree again.
Yeah.
Even though you do save a crap ton of money.
Yeah,
because a fake tree is like $130.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And the real ones are like $70 to $90, depending on what you get.
I got mine a $30 tree.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Just a food line right over there. They have trees out
$30?
there. $30 for a tree.
Why do I have a fake tree? The whole reason was to save money.
Yeah, see, so you said you save time by setting up a real tree.
Yeah.
And I get that. I do. It's nice to just be like, boop, and then be able to hang the ornaments right away. Like, just get it all done in the afternoon. I get that from like any other time of year on any other activity. I'm with you 100%. Like, it's
but
be
this is
efficient.
Christmas.
But exactly, it's like doing the work. Like this year, I went with my dad and we strapped the tree to the car and I like rubbed it in his face. I was getting a real tree.
Nice.
And then like he and I set it up on the stand, which is a more involved process than I would like it to be because I have this like janky stand from Walmart, which has like 50 working pieces. But nevertheless, each little step of the way was like a fun. And then I brought it in the house and I had to move some furniture around. So like each little step was like, it was fun. You know what I mean? Like I had fun with it. It's going to be even more fun. Like at some point when my son's born, like and older, I'm going to want to go like chop down or like go to a farm and actually chop down our own tree. Like
with
that's
your
a
bare
really
hands.
fun. Yeah, with my bare hands. By bare hands, I mean my hands turn into bears.
Right.
Like bear claws.
Yeah.
My bare hands. Yeah. So that I'm looking forward to that experience as well because to me, it's like the whole experience is enjoyable, brings back memories, and I like it. So I don't care that it takes time because that time is meaningful to me.
Yes. It's great.
Yeah.
That's
Like
your favorite thing.
Video games. Yep.
Oh yeah, we're talking about video games. It's Christmas.
Yeah. So that leads us to our next segment, which is DLC.
Downloadable content.
DLC or downloadable content is our second segment where we have kind of a mini sub-discussion that may or may not have anything to do with our main topic, and it's usually just meant to be more fun and enjoyable and just kind of like something that you would imagine.
It's the extra content you'd purchase for your podcast.
It's like a conversation that you never thought you would ever have about video games before. So that's kind of what we shoot for.
Yes.
So I was looking at the wrong thing in my notes. The DLC for this year's Christmas, I loved last year's. Last year's was one of my favorite DLCs of all time.
You have to refresh my memory. I don't even know.
It was
what was it?
If a developer was visited, or like a developer visited by the ghosts of Christmas past.
Yeah, that
you
was
nailed
amazing.
it.
Yeah, that was
you
perfect.
just knocked it out of the park.
I highly recommend you go back and listen to
you
episode
guys should
15.
just go.
I believe it is.
Episode 15.
Yeah.
We had crappier mic back then, but it's worth it to go back and listen to Termite's amazing Ghost of Christmas developers.
How about we just say the Christmas Carol?
Yeah,
involving
Christmas
Carol
developers. Yeah,
we can't talk. We have no words. The Christmas, the Christmas Carol story involving publishers and developers.
Yeah,
in the gaming industry.
So we're not doing that this year. So I feel like this one's woefully inadequate in comparison, but it should still be fun. So if you could make a video game that, as far as you know, doesn't exist with any, like, I'll say holiday characters. So that is like any character. I would say any character from anything that you would consider a Christmas movie. If you could make a video game about like with that character as like the lead character and in that world, what would the game be, and what would the game like? What would it look like? What
would the stipulation be that you have to play those characters? Like it only has them. That's it. It's just holiday characters, or could it be a current existing IP that takes place in it?
It's that character, those characters, that world, and you are. So, for example, you play a game where you're Santa, and it's a loot shooter. It's Santa's loot shooter, and you go around and you shoot like zombie elves, and you get loot and whatever. Like you're
actually like kind of stealing my idea.
Oh no!
I don't know if you ever played Hotline Miami. It's a shmup, which is a shoot 'em up.
Okay.
It's a top-down view, 2D game, crazy art style, loud music, where it's kind of a twin stick shooter. So the right stick you turn your character, and the left stick you move, and you press a button on the controller, kind of like Helldivers.
Okay, yeah.
In that regard, top-down shooter like that, but you are Santa, and it is a loot shooter. It's not zombies. It's just like bad people from the naughty list.
Oh, okay.
So it's just
like,
a bunch of criminals and stuff.
yeah, so like the naughty listers all get together and are like, oh, we're going to attack the North Pole.
Yeah, we're tired of being shamed by this guy every year and neglected by him, so we're going to attack him.
Shoots him.
Right, so there's just level after level of you as Santa Claus with various guns and weapons and upgrades, and you progress through the game. And it's they call it a bullet hell.
Yeah, I am familiar with bullet hell. Yeah. Yep.
That's my Christmas.
That's your Christmas game
idea.
I love it. I love it. Any developers out there? That's your next bestseller.
Yes.
Mine is I would do an RTS, real-time strategy game.
Ooh.
And you could play either as the Heat Miser's forces.
Yes, that was my backup plan.
Or I don't remember what the other one's called. The White Christmas guy, whatever, Mr. Christmas or whatever.
Mr. Snow, Mr. White Christmas. I know the song.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I don't know his name either.
But they'd each have forces and you could build up units. And so the ice dude would have like Wendigos and like frosty, like snowmen that he can summon. The Heat Miser would have like...
Snow Miser.
Snow Miser. Oh,
yeah, Heat Miser and Snow Miser.
Heat Miser and Snow Miser, but it's an RTS, and the Heat Miser would have, flame monsters and dragons and stuff. So you could, but it'd be like just like StarCraft or whatever. You'd have bases. You'd build units. Those bases would produce units. I guess it would be more like Warcraft, Orcs, and Humans, but with Heat Miser and Snow Miser.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and they're constantly fighting over over territory. So.
Yeah,
and it would be like when I think about it like the undead in Warcraft 3, where when you build buildings, the blight.
Yeah,
it'd be like that, except for like the Snow Miser, and there would be snow, and then the Heat Miser when he builds buildings that would melt the snow.
Yeah,
and so it would be kind of maybe like a little element of Splatoon, where like the winter
wars going on.
The winter isn't so much. Like you wouldn't your objective wouldn't be to destroy a base, but you'd have a time limit, and the objective would be to like cover more of the map with snow or prevent snow.
Yeah.
So that would be kind of like Splatoon in that regard. So you still destroy buildings, but the purpose of destroying buildings isn't to destroy all the buildings. The purpose is to
cover your area and more of your
blight. Yeah. So
nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So make that game, y'all.
Make it happen.
Christmas games.
Yes.
We need some indie developers to make those games.
We do.
Yeah. Because it's not like those aren't AAA title material, but they'd be really addicting indie titles.
It's the kind of like indie game where like, oh, this guy worked on Warcraft, so he knows his stuff, and he's going to start his own studio and make it.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing.
Cool.
Make it happen.
Do it. All right. So that's DLC.
It turned into like dubstep rap horns. It's like wub 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 wow. It's like a penny whistle mixed with dubstep.
I guess it should be more.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah.
It's Christmas.
It's Penguin and Termite. Whoa.
Oh. I was like. It's because you're a bad singer. Didn't pick up on the tune. But I got you now. He's doing a song from Muppet Christmas Carol.
I was.
Which I will probably be watching tomorrow when
Christmas Day.
Listening to that. Yeah. Yeah. So we're also excited because it's like both holidays for us right now because you guys will be listening to this on Christmas Eve. So we're like talking as if it's Christmas Eve now. But what it's really for us is it's the eve of Smashmas.
Yes.
Because we're only a few days right now until...
like 3 days and counting.
Yeah, until Smash releases.
Tuesday and Wednesday.
So both of us are like, just have a few more days of work.
Yes.
Just gotta get a few more days of work. And then I have Friday off, he has Friday off. We're like, Thursday night, we're just gonna stay up late. So yeah, it's gonna be... We're very excited. So
yeah,
I'm hoping the game lives up to my expectations. But those expectations are just like, I've enjoyed every other Smash game, so I can't imagine I'm going to dislike this one.
Yeah.
So it would have to be really bad for me to like hate it.
From what I heard, Smash Bros. 4 is pretty forgettable with Ultimate.
Oh, really?
Like the step is not. It's like it just kind of makes 4 go.
That's
away.
how I feel about Brawl.
Yeah,
like that's how I feel about Brawl with 4, and that's how I feel about Melee is the last one that I'm like, oh yeah, Melee was like. Yep. Rememberable,
and that's what this game brings you back to is Melee times.
Fantastic.
So it'll make 4 and Brawl forgettable if you.
I'm so excited. I'm like, first thing I want to do. Obviously, I won't be able to because we have to unlock characters. But like, I really want to play the Squid Inklings. I really want to play Ridley. Like, if I got a list and Simon Belmont, like they're on my list of like I want to try to main them. Yeah. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Dark Samus.
I know you're excited about Dark. All right.
What's our topic?
So we're talking about Christmas. So again, like I said, we're going to be a little bit different than last year's Christmas episode, which is good because we don't want to rehash old content.
Nope.
So, but we did still want to do like a Christmas special episode.
Yes.
I don't know how many of these we're going to be able to keep doing because there's only so many like Christmas related
We
topics.
will figure it out every year.
every year. But yeah, so this year we're going to just talk about like the Christmas season is a big thing. And it has an impact on the entire world, obviously, or at least the entire country and much of the West. So we want to look at what impact does that huge thing, that huge event, have on our gaming industry? What impact has it had historically? What impact does it have currently? So let's start there. What effect does the Christmas holiday have on the video game industry?
And the video game industry operates like most businesses in America, and that is the business quarters. So Christmas coincides with the end of quarter 4, which is the end of the year. And that's why we have Black Friday, right? It's the time where businesses have historically in the past discounted a bunch of stuff to get customers into their stores to sell all their products so that if they're in the red, meaning they're negative, they're not making money, they can then go into the black and make money for the year. So with that as an established business practice in America, the gaming industry has followed suit. So we have the same kind of drive of big titles being released at the end of the year. The end of quarter 4 is when you start looking at your businesses and your publishers are mapping out milestones and timelines and figuring out when your games are going to release and when the marketing is going to ramp up and how you're going to do all of your promotions. Like the end of the year between November and December is always riddled with these huge, big AAA titles. And it's because of that structure where you have each quarter. And you actually have a surge of game releases at the end of each quarter because they want to match their numbers. They want to satisfy their investors and make their stock markets and all those numbers beep, boop, boop, beep, boop happen to like make them businesses and keep their investors satisfied and keep their stocks valuable. So that's kind of the first like contextual thing. But then looking at historically with how video games are marketed and sold around Christmas time as being a thing at Christmas specifically. Way back, let's rewind time to the early 80s, there was a huge video game crash with around the time Atari was out. There was just, the games were flooded, the market. There was a massive crash. There was too much content and not enough quality. And so people kind of got a bad vibe in their mouth with video games. And it was kind of turned into a niche electronics thing where if you played, quote, video games, it meant that you had this weirdly expensive computer that was a super niche market, that you had a kit that you build and you'd play your little games. This is before like home consoles came out. So what Nintendo decided to do in that moment was they saw an opportunity and they came out with their Famicom, their family computer. I'm breezing over a lot of historical points here, but in North America they called it the Nintendo Entertainment System and they marketed it as a toy. It has a zapper, and it has Rob the Robot. And they completely, it's this big plastic box with these big plastic cartridges that you can touch that are like ridged with these big controllers. There's no keyboard, there's no monitor. It plugs into your existing TV. And so they were trying to steer away from the idea that you're getting a video game console as much as possible and focus on the toy aspect.
Yeah.
And because retailers, at the time, it's Sears and Walmart, and they didn't have any way to like sell video games well. So Nintendo appealed to those retailers by marketing it as a toy as well to tap into the already existing toy pulse.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest like point there is like the biggest effect that, so first of all, Christmas itself is a kid oriented holiday. Like it really is like, I mean, it's family and presents and there's lots of ceremony and peace, goodwill towards men, all that good stuff too. Yes. But at the end of the day, in regards to business, in regards to products, the thing that's most important about Christmas is dat parent money. And I think that Nintendo kind of started this trend of video games are marketed towards kids. And that's really been kind of the definitive driving force and driving impact that Christmas has had on the video game industry for the longest time was that it was like, let's get that parent money. Yeah, so that's what they did. They marketed it and pushed it. Black Friday did, and now we have this massive push today, even still, of getting your video games for kids. What's on the holiday shopping list? What's the most popular games for your kids? And that conversation still happens. Yeah. So that's kind of where it started. The change, though, now, so I mean, not much has changed.
Yeah, not a whole lot at all.
The Christmas season is still incredibly important for video game sales. I would say the biggest difference, though, now is I think we're seeing this as an effect of gamers getting older. the people buying games now are the gamers themselves as adults, as opposed to parents buying them for their kids. So, and we talked about that as gamers get older and as all the other effects that has on. We talk about that a lot. But I think one of those effects is like, oh, now we're buying our own games. So we're seeing some changes now. And one of those is that the Christmas release window is no longer the only viable release window.
Right. We have the pulse every quarter. Like you have your March, you've got your June, July, August, and then you have even like a push. I'm missing one. There's from January to March, that's quarter one.
Yep.
And so there's always a push in the spring for like March releases to get games out. And then April, May, June. Yeah, there's like a summer release window, which is actually the quietest one. The end of quarter two, for some reason, I don't know why, the halfway point seems to be the quietest one. July, August, September. Yeah, there is a push in September. I remember like Destiny, Borderlands. Like that September window is
it used
valuable.
to always be that Q3, Q4 was the most important release window. And that was the one that everyone focused on because that was when parents were going to start looking to buy. They wanted to see what was new, and a new game is something that came out in September to November. And that's, Black Friday, that's when they're like, okay, I have to buy some stupid game for my kid. What's popular? What just came out? What's new? What are they begging for? But now, again, we're seeing games come out in February and March because the biggest people who are spending money are the ones who are like, I can afford it
whenever.
I can afford to buy this game whenever. So I think it's been taking a while for that really to change, but I think it's now starting to change.
So currently, in 2016 and 2017, I looked up some statistics, which I'll link off to. The total sales across hardware, software, and accessories surrounding video games increases by 200% in December. It triples. It triples. Wow. It's in millions. It's like 1.01 million was kind of the average across the whole year, and then in December alone, it's 3 million.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just like a giant spike on a graph.
Though things are changing, it still is the biggest
it really
time
is.
to
and then
just
this past year, actually, this is kind of breaking news. Like 2 weeks ago, Reggie Fils-Aimé from Nintendo in North America, he's the president of Nintendo North America, he asserted that Nintendo does 60% of its business during the holiday season. Because
that I can believe.
The investors were targeting Nintendo because the Switch isn't being sold at the rate that they anticipated to meet a certain number, but Nintendo is just a very smart business, and so they have a goal to hit X amount of sales by March, and it's about double what it is now. And people are looking like, dude, you don't have enough months between now and March based on what's happening and the games that are coming out to do that. And Reggie's like, 60% of our sales happen in the holiday season, and that hasn't started yet when he said that. So that was before Black Friday.
And now, isn't it huge?
Yeah, it's massive. Black Friday, the Nintendo Switch was the number one selling video game thing across everything.
I think it was one of the biggest selling electronics of the entire year. Like, it's hot. Everyone wants a Switch.
It was the hottest Black Friday item.
That's amazing.
For that one day,
So, I mean, I think it's going to be I think that by the time we get to by the time our listeners are listening to this, I think the sales of it are going to be incredible. Like, I think it's going to be probably, if it's not the most popular electronic this year, it's going to be up there on the top like 5 for sure. I can't think of a electronic. Like, I can't think of a phone. I can't think of a computer. I can't think of anything right now that compares to like, I hear the Switch on like Best Buy commercials and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's just being really like
Like, if you think about a tablet or a computer, there's a million different brands and there's a million different things that you might be into. You're going to go Apple, you're going to go Windows. Same with phones. There's like, you want to go Android or you want to go Apple. And there's a million different phones you're going to get. So there's never that one single thing that just dominates a certain market. There's not like, there is the best selling phone. There is the best selling laptop. But it's not like Nintendo being so different from the competition that it just dominates all the gaming conversation is the Switch.
It's crazy too, because the PlayStation and the Xbox have been competing for years. But like, Nintendo's gamble with the Switch of it being so different has really paid off because it stands out and and people want it. People who are like, I've already got an Xbox, I already got a PlayStation, I've already got a PC, but dang it, I want a Switch. And they're going after it. So cool. So the next question is, what kinds of games, so I'm talking like genres, I'm talking kind of big picture, what kinds of games do you find tend to sell well during the Christmas season?
This is where all my research comes in. So I've actually researched over the last decade the top selling video games during the Christmas season, which is kind of November, December mixed. And I had to do some looking at the data and figure that out. So it's not super scientific, but it's mostly there. The trends are there. What kind of games sell in December holiday season? Call of Duty is number one every single year since 2011.
That frustrates me so.
No, more than that. Let me look at my spreadsheet here. Actually, it's earlier than that. It's every year it is the number one selling. And no, it's a third party game, so it comes out across all platforms.
Do they have
2008.
one that comes out every year?
Yep.
What was World War II? Is that one that came out last year?
Yeah, that was the recent one. Yeah. I mean, I can list them all to you if you'd like, but there's the two companies that were making. There was the Modern Warfare series, and then there was the other one, the
They're both Activision though, right? Like it's an Activision property. Okay,
but there's different developers, so it's like each developer kind of takes turns each year. So
Gotcha.
you have like the Black Ops stuff different from the Modern Warfare, but the Modern Warfare ended and turned into like Ghost and Advanced Warfighter and Infinite Warfare. So yeah, and I still have that.
They go back all to World War II. Like now they're like, oh, we're gonna go back to our roots, which
kind of. I guess I don't know what I mean. Battlefield kind of did World War One, and now Battlefield 5 is World War II, and so I guess they're chasing the money, right? So what's popular. So yeah, Call of Duty has been top dog every single year.
Call of Duty, for those who don't know, is a competitive first-person shooter. I'd say very competitive first-person shooter. Esport level,
nah.
It's not it's ironic because as popular as it is as a game to play competitively online, it's not as popular as an esport.
Yeah.
Like there are other games that do better.
And I think I know why.
Okay.
And it was presented to me on a podcast I was listening to. Shout out to Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast. Okay. Colin Moriarty and Chris Raygun. They were talking about Call of Duty. And Chris was saying the online is so fast paced that when you get shot and die, it's like it's almost a game of tag. You have no time to turn around and look or assess the situation. The moment it's really just a game of who sees who first, and that's it. Because you just die so fast, and that's how it always is. It's just like very fast respawning, very fast gameplay.
Right,
and
they've taken
charging, sprinting.
It's much more about like instinct and that kind of twitch reaction.
So your skill comes from learning the maps and learning player strategy. I was going to say strategery, but strategy. But the moment you see a person first, you win. So it's like there's no chance of like that gun match, that fight that you get with like Overwatch
or Halo.
Yeah,
exactly.
Where you have shields and you have to burn
I guess that's why I like Overwatch, is because it reminds me more of the sort of strategy that comes with Halo. You know what I mean? Like that sort of like toe to toe. You see them, they see you. It takes more than just one shot to kill them, so there's sort of like
you need to maintain aim. They're jumping around like crazy and like switching guns and stuff. What gun's more effective against this other gun? You have a chance to kind of assess all of that and play out a strategy. Where with Call of Duty, it's like it doesn't matter what you have. If it's a pistol, throwing knives, or the most jacked gun in the game, like if you see someone sees you first, you're dead. That's it. It doesn't matter what you have or how much time you've put into the game. Yeah. So that's my personal critique. I agree with it. It's the first time I've ever heard it put that way, and I think that's why it's not an esport. So anyway. That's top dog every year. Under that, Grand Theft Auto 5, since it has come out in 2013, which was 5 years ago, it has always been in the top 10.
Which is another kind of crazy like flip side of that. Whereas Call of Duty, it's like there's always a new Call of Duty, so it's always at the top of the list.
Right. This is
one game.
Yep.
One game
for 5 years.
In an entry of games for 5 years is not the top selling game, but it still sells really well. Like it's still selling.
Yeah.
It's a 5-year-old game and people are still buying copies of it. That's crazy.
It's unreal. And the only content they've changed or updated was their online stuff. The single player has no DLC attached, where there's no extra story. So the actual game that you buy on disc is just the same. Yeah. And it did release for last generation consoles. It was ported to the current generation consoles, which extended its life. But still, like, the fact that it's been top 10 every single year. And Red Dead Redemption 2 is now the first game Rockstar has come out with since then that will probably usurp it. And
we'll see. The online's getting. I mean, I know they made some adjustments, but the online's been coming under fire for being much more grindy than Grand Theft Autos was. And Grand Theft Autos was fairly grindy, from what I understand.
Oh, the online stuff? Yeah, I played it like twice. I don't know. It didn't really grab me.
We should play some Red Dead Redemption, though.
We should. We can create a posse and create a camp and all that. Yeah, we should do that. It'd be fun.
Just for giggles.
There's always a Madden, an NBA 2K, and FIFA. FIFA came out in 2012, so every year since then, that's all there. Those three games have dominated the top 10 as well.
So I can audibly eye roll.
Yeah, I know, right? Dan is totally uninterested now. Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto 5, Madden, NBA, and FIFA. That's half of the top 10. That's 5 games every single holiday season. So those games are on the top 10.
First-person shooter, specific first-person shooter, and Grand Theft Auto. Those are the games that sell at Christmas.
What makes up the rest of those 5? Whenever Nintendo comes out with a Mario or a Mario Kart or a Pokemon.
That's that parent money right there.
Yeah.
That's that parent money coming.
So that's
into play.
3 more franchises that always at least make one blip on the top 10.
Oh, good for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then there's various like Battlefields that throw up there and other type of like popular games that kind of vary from year to year. So that's what sells at Christmas.
Yep. You have something about Smash Bros. On there, though, which makes me happy.
Yeah, the year that Smash Brothers had come out was 2014. Smash Bros. 4 made the top 10, but it was lumped together Wii U and 3DS.
Oh, yeah.
And that's because...
But it's still one game.
To give you some context, the Wii U only sold 13 million after it died in 2016. So back up 2 years, it had not reached the 13 million sold yet. The Nintendo Switch has only been out not even 2 years.
And it's already surpassed.
It's at 20 million.
Yeah.
So it's got 7 million more already. The PlayStation sits at 80 million consoles.
Wait, how many Switches? 20 million.
20 million for the Switch.
Wow. So
80 million for PlayStation 4s.
It's already a quarter.
The install base is there. So right now there's 73 million 3DS family consoles. And at that time, I don't know how many there was, but you had a massive install base on the 3DS.
Yeah.
So I think the 3DS version of Smash Bros. 4 was the whole reason why they actually made a 3DS version was because of how bad the Wii U was doing. It was, I mean, in retrospect, you can go back and it's obvious. At the
Even
time,
though nobody plays Smash 4 on the 3DS.
I have 70 hours on my 3DS copy of Smash. Okay. I have played the crap out of that. Way
Nobody
more than
but
the Wii U.
Termite. No,
right.
I mean, in the esports players, you always see,
it's always
you know what I mean? You always see
yeah.
people playing
Well,
Wii U,
sure.
which I guess makes sense, but
you can't hook up a 3DS to a big screen.
If the
easily.
3DS was, I don't know. I was just thinking in my mind, I'm like, if the 3DS was so popular, why don't maybe people did? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, the Wii U version had the GameCube controllers. It hooks up to a big TV.
Did they have the same DLC characters on the 3DS version? They did? Okay.
Yeah, and there's like cross-buy stuff too. So if you bought them on one, you get them on the other.
I am excited about Smash Ultimate having the maps from the 3DS version that I never got to play. So that's exciting for me.
Yeah, me too.
So isn't Smash Ultimate's doing really well though?
It set records for Nintendo for pre-orders.
That's awesome. Yeah. So it'll be another good year for Nintendo for the Switch.
Interestingly enough, I wish I could go. I wish there was a way to know. There is no way to know if they could do digital pre-orders on Zelda Breath of the Wild for the Switch because it was a launch title for the Switch, so no one could digitally pre-order it.
Yeah.
Like I wonder what that looked like.
I wonder. I am curious to know what next year's like. Nintendo's obviously got a plan. It's not a coincidence that the releases have been what they have been for the past 2 years.
They mapped it all out.
Yeah. So I imagine that's probably mapped out for the next 15 years or whatever the lifetime of the Switch is supposed to be.
Not
whatever
15,
they believe
I bet.
it. Yeah, fair.
It's a lot.
That was a little bit of an exaggeration there, but you know what I mean. I can't imagine they don't have a plan for next year.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I guess Pokemon's going to be
Metroid Prime 4, a new Animal Crossing,
Metroid's
a
not
core Pokemon game.
But Metroid I guess Animal Crossing is huge.
Animal Crossing's huge.
Animal Crossing is way huger than I would ever have believed, having been around when the GameCube game came out.
Right.
Because I was a kid and I was like, again, I was at that middle school age where I was like, oh my gosh, this looks like the stupidest thing in the world.
I loved Animal Crossing.
But it's huge.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Termite loves it. I maybe should dust off a copy and familiarize myself before the new one comes out.
But yeah, we're aware of a Yoshi title that's been shown off.
Yeah.
It's like in the realm of Yoshi's Woolly World sequel, the Craft one.
Yeah.
And then we have a core Pokemon title in the RPG, the next gen. Gen 8 is coming. I think it's 8 or 9.
Whatever.
I'm having a brain lapse.
Yeah,
new core
gen.
Pokemon game. And then we're having a Metroid Prime 4 and Animal Crossing. That's what's announced. And Nintendo only announces games that are coming out kind of on the horizon. They don't announce, what's way out there. So what's the future of Zelda look like? Is that going to be annualized? Is there going to be another one? Who knows? I mean, there's still so many other franchises Nintendo
They could
owns
just put a new
something.
skin on Breath of the Wild and flip the map upside down and I'd buy it.
Depth of the Wild.
Yeah.
And it's upside down.
It's the upside down?
Yeah, it's
you
the
play
upside
a
down.
Shadow Link?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that'd be amazing. Yeah. I'd be okay with that.
So anyway, Nintendo does dominate when they come out with their big hitters around Christmas time. Like we just talked about, the Switch is selling like hotcakes right now. In comparison to the PS4, it's not quite there, but it's gaining momentum.
It's a quarter of there. I mean, it's been out for a quarter of the
right.
You know what I mean? It's been out. So it's give it time and it'll be up there. It may surpass the PS4. However, the PS5 might be out by the time it does.
Yeah.
So who knows? Nintendo's console launches are weird.
And there's also a shout out to Assassin's Creed whenever they hit around the holiday season. Like Odyssey is on there up now.
And the fact that it's been reviewed so well, I think it's going to just make it do even better.
Yeah.
So even though I'm not interested in it,
looking out over the last decade, whenever Assassin's Creeds are good and they come out around the Christmas time, they're on that top 10.
Nice.
So they do well.
Good. Good for them. All right. Let's finish off then. This is going to be a shorter episode than some of our more recent
might
ones.
be.
But
We'll see.
we'll see.
Termite can talk.
That's true. What are some of the circumstances that are contributing to things kind of changing in recent years? Like what's causing things to change in recent years?
In the last 2 years, in January, developers have found success releasing big games. Resident Evil 7 came out in January and did super well. January is super quiet. It's right after Christmas. There's usually everyone's coming back from Christmas vacation. It's
They've
worst.
all spent money already.
Yeah,
on
money's
Christmas.
already spent, right.
That's what we found in the restaurant industry. So like when I worked at a restaurant, like that was the biggest thing. Was January was a garbage year. January was a garbage month because everybody was like, they were either A, on diets. They just came back, well, I'm on diet. I can't go to restaurants and drink beer anymore. Or they had just spent money, and we're like, I can't afford to.
Yeah, we got to rein it in.
We just did this, for like 3 weekends in a row. Like I can't. So like January was always like just that time of like recovery, but not. But I mean, whatever the opposite of recovery is for the restaurant industry, it's like crippling. So they always had different things. Like they'd have specials, and they had like restaurant week in Fredericksburg. All the restaurants got together and were like, January is such an awful month for all of us. Let's get together and like do a big thing
and try and
to draw people in. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
and I guess game developers doing the same thing. It's super quiet,
right.
So why not come out with something big? So in 2016, Resident Evil 7 was very, very well received and very successful. And then last year in 2017, we saw Monster Hunter Worlds. Monster Hunter Worlds was huge.
Yeah.
It like took over the conversation of video games for like all the way through March. I was super surprised. Like, what in the world is this game? I did not expect Monster Hunter, which is kind of a niche Japanese like third person RPG Monster Hunter type game. It hit the PS4 and it took the world by storm, and it just blew up Twitter and Reddit for months. And I was really surprised to see it on there. And then Dragon Ball Fighter Z was also is now an Evo. It's super successful fighting game, came out in January as well by Bandai Namco. So like January's happening.
Yeah.
And Kingdom Hearts 3 is announced to be released next year, which is the biggest game released in January of recent
memory.
My memory. Yeah. Why would they do that? It's only because those foundations have been laid. I think Square Enix is willing to take the risk to do it.
Yeah, well, I remember.
Granted, it was delayed. But I
remember reading. I was going to say exactly that. I was reading an article on this recently. I don't remember what it was, so I don't know if we'll be able to find it and put it in the footnotes, and I will if I can. But they were saying that like the January release window it's becoming more popular because people are now we're putting into practice the idea that we're willing to wait for a good game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's starting to be evidence. Like, okay, we don't want you to rush the Christmas release window. If you don't make it to the Christmas release window, we are perfectly happy to buy a good game that we have a lot of faith in January or February. Yeah. So I think a lot of those AAA developers are really starting to like, oh, okay, really? You'll let us delay it till we're happy to let you delay it till January or February. So really, I would say, even though from a quarterly revenue perspective, you would have to say that it's Q1.
Right.
I would still say that like from just sort of like a spiritual perspective, a lot of those January, February releases are actually Christmas games that just needed to be pushed back for one reason or another.
Yeah, maybe.
Honestly, I remember there was a Blizzard expansion that got pushed back to January.
Oh, really?
I'm trying to remember which one it was.
Usually they come out in August, don't they?
They usually try to shoot for the like November. Again, they are usually trying to go for the Christmas sales.
Oh, okay.
And then you're right. Recently, they've been going for the summer, late summer, kind of early.
It's like Q3 window.
Early Q3 window. But there was one, I didn't want to say it was Burning Crusade that came out in January because it like needed to be pushed back for one reason or another.
Interesting, yeah.
And that's what Blizzard has always said. They've said, you know what? Like,
it's done when it's done.
It's done when it's done. And that one just happened to be ready in January and like that was fine. It sold just fine like on launch. So I think they may have even started kind of laying the groundwork. People kind of might have looked at that and said, oh, people want a complete product, not a rushed product. So
and a counter argument to your delayed comment. Granted, Kingdom Hearts 3 has been delayed for 10 years. I mean, people bought PS3s for Kingdom Hearts 3. Resident Evil 2 Remake is a huge, big budget Capcom game. They're coming out. It looks amazing. It's been playing and received well at shows, early stuff. It was planned to be a January release from the get-go. And it hasn't been delayed or anything into January. Yeah.
Well, January is one thing. February is another month that also was fairly quiet for a long time. But this year we're seeing
Anthem.
We see there are 3 titles that are coming out.
Days Gone got pushed to
just
April.
because of Anthem. Yeah,
Yeah, but now we have Anthem, right? And it's
there's two other.
I forget them.
I forget them off the top of my head too. Yeah, but there are literally 3 games. There were 4 planned major AAA titles that were coming out on February 22nd specifically.
Yeah,
that's
let's space
2
these out a
days
little
before
bit.
my baby's due date, something like that.
Yeah.
Like, and so fortunately, Days Gone was like, you know what, we're gonna bump this back so that we're not competing with Anthem. And yeah, there's 3 titles total coming out on the 22nd. So yeah, February is becoming a popular release window as well.
Yeah, and the last thing I put that's changing our industry is the continued increase in digital sales.
Mm-hmm.
What will that look like later when there is that shopping holiday fervor is, in the stores right now, physical media? What happens when that's just digital? Prices don't usually go, like, the sales are different. I mean, the Steam market's always had their crazy winter sale. I see consoles kind of matching that now. PSN had their Black Friday sale. Xbox had theirs. EA Origin had their sales. So you're seeing like a little bit of that physical media sale grab. Steam really started it all with the whole digital stuff, and now you're seeing the consoles go in. So it's still new. Like, we don't really know what's going on with it yet. Each year is a little bit different. It's kind of shaken out. But I wonder if that will affect release windows. Like, do you want to release a new game in a flood of sales where everyone's trying to catch up from the year's title in the
right,
past?
and you see a lot of like brand new games that, like, I feel bad for the people who pre-order them at full price because then they come out of these sales like 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Fallout 76 was like $30.
Well, that's a whole different story.
I know, but still, the big one, I shouldn't pick on Fallout. I should pick on Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider had, and this wasn't even around the holidays, but Tomb Raider just had a random sale. Shadow of the Tomb Raider was on sale for like
30,
20% or something like that. Or I think it was.
I saw it for 30.
Was it 30?
Half off, yeah.
People were livid because
They
a lot of
should be.
people
They
played
just
full
bought it.
price, and then
Right.
2 weeks later it was on sale. Like, so
Spider-Man's $40 right now today.
Yeah,
And that just came out.
right. Yeah, so that's definitely like, it raises some questions. Like, when should a game go on sale? I mean, realistically, the game should go on sale when it will sell. But from a like fairness perspective, I don't know. I mean, that's just something to always keep in mind when you're buying a game. If you are going to wanting to buy a game around the holidays, consider the fact that very game might go on sale 2 or 3 weeks later, and you could get it for a very good price. So it's just something to be aware of. That's changing. I mean, I guess, I wouldn't, from a consumer perspective, there's no way I would say, like, we should force games to not go on sale for a year.
Lock in the price or something.
Right. Like, I don't want to say that, but like, from a consumer standpoint as well, I'm like, okay, well, like, then I need to be more conscientious of when I pre-order game. Literally, is getting it 2 weeks before it goes on sale worth it to me? Or I suppose 2 weeks before it might go on sale, is it worth that extra $15, $20 to me?
And then a whole another thought would be the same idea that you would apply to free-to-play is you want to increase your install base to kind of capitalize on microtransactions or DLC. The same thing can be applied to the AAA space at Black Friday. It's like this brand new game just came out, like Spider-Man. They've announced 5 DLC packs or whatever. I don't know what the number is. And they want to sell those season passes. So discount the game at Black Friday to get more people to buy it, and then they'll buy the DLC later because they felt like they got a good deal.
Yeah.
And the same can be said to like online stuff. So Battlefield 5 and Call of Duty, and those are the games that sell a lot of Christmas time.
Destiny.
Discount them, get your install base out there, and then rake in the money on the microtransactions.
Yeah, I guess that's why Destiny went free to play for.
Right, exactly why PSN. That's exactly why Destiny 2, right before Forsaken, the big giant expansion that changes everything, that you can't really, it locks content behind. Yeah, you can have the base game for free. So everyone can get it, and it gets your install base, and way more potential for money. So I think that factors into some of the Black Friday sales too. And Fallout 76 might, despite the fact that it was a horrible game and it's not selling, and Bethesda's trying to move copies, they're also trying to get that install base out there. I don't think there's microtransactions in it now, but if they ever want to add it, it's an online game. It's an online game. You need people to play it. You have to have people to play it.
I imagine that Fallout 76, they'll probably at least do 1 or 2 like DLC expansions to it, and they want people to buy. They'll want people to buy that. So
I wonder, and this is total speculation and going off the rails a little bit, and I can do that because we're not super late on our time. I wonder if they will do a kind of Realm Reborn Final Fantasy 14 like reboot of the entire world in Fallout 76. Because it's so badly received, it's so buggy, it's so crappy.
Yeah, well, that's what Forsaken did with Destiny to some extent, is they like overhauled tons of systems and made things a lot more like
quality
Destiny
of
1.
life improvements and like bug fixes and things. I wonder if they'll do that. I would love to see them do that.
Yeah, well, I still probably won't buy it, but
yeah.
Cool.
If it's cheap enough, I'll jump in.
Yeah, who knows?
Oh, those games on February 22nd. Crackdown 3 and
Crackdown, that's
Metro
right.
Exodus, which is the next in their
Yes,
Metro series. Those are the other
yes.
two, along with
Both
Days
of which
Gone
have
and
like
Anthem, but Days Gone got
cultish
moved.
followings as opposed to like
Mass audience.
mass audience. Metro's got a cult following and Crackdown.
Metro looks good. I want to play those games.
Yeah, but you're gonna be playing Anthem with me.
No, I mean, like, that's the third one in a series. There's two
Right.
other ones that they've
yeah,
remastered on the
Mhm.
PS4, and I want to play those because there's just first-person shooters.
I'm sad that Days Gone got bummed because I wanted to play that on my paternity leave.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's that Sony exclusive that
We'll play it in April.
What's the game? Sons of Anarchy mixed with Walking Dead. I really want to play it.
Pretty much, yeah. Yep.
All
Sony Bend.
Right.
That's the studio making
well,
it.
hey, we get to finish a little bit earlier than we've been doing. So usually we've been pushing like 10 or 15 minutes over an hour,
Yeah.
and now we're gonna. It's a little Christmas gift for you guys. Let you get back to your families or whatever. Get back to decorating the house by yourself.
Hopefully you're drinking eggnog and bourbon like me.
Yeah, boy.
'Cause that's what I'll be doing.
Yeah, I need to get something nice. But anyways, hopefully it's snowing. Hopefully it's a white Christmas.
If it's a
for
white
everybody.
Christmas, that'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, y'all. I hope you.
I'll have a fire
I hope
because my
future
chimneys
us-
will be swept. I'm
Nice. Yep.
excited about that.
I hope future us are enjoying a white Christmas, and I hope current you listeners are enjoying a white Christmas wherever you are.
Mhm.
So
Unless you have to work in it, and you have to drive to work in the snow, and you're working on Christmas.
they'll get over it.
Oh, wow.
But yeah. Well, if you have any feedback on to us, like thoughts on like the way that Christmas impacts, if there's something glaring obvious thing that we missed, or super niche complicated thing that we haven't talked about, and the way that Christmas impacts game development and game sales, then let us know. Termite, where can they find us?
Please send us Christmas greetings, messages, love yous across all of our social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit. We're all 80-Bit Podsmash. That's our tag, at 80-Bit Podsmash. The subreddit's 80-Bit Podsmash. You can also go to our landing website, 80bitpodsmash.com, where we have links to Spotify, Google Play, and iTunes, and RSS feed link that you can import into any podcast app that you want. And if we're not on a platform that you want us to be, let us know, and we'll put you there. We'll put us there for you.
Yeah. But until next week, season's greetings to you all.
Merry Christmas. See you next week.